So I was walking into church this weekend and talking to my wife, and she says to me, so we're in the process of maybe moving again. So I tell you all everything in my life. I hope you understand. I think of you all like friends, maybe distant friends I haven't met yet, but I'm serious, and it drives my wife crazy sometimes. She thinks I share too much, but it's okay. Even our personal conversations. So we're thinking about moving. Another thing I probably shouldn't put out there for a number of reasons. And we're looking for contractors. So we're trying to get the, business folks and people on business come in and do certain stuff in the move. And I'm being intentionally cryptic because I don't want to give away what business I'm talking about, because leftists will probably seek this guy out and try to have him dragged, tarred, and feathered. So one of the businesses we deal with is having a really tough time finding workers. And it made me think of the unbroken leg fallacy. I have this up at the show notes today, and I want you to read this if you can from the Mises Institute. It's in my show notes, my newsletter, bongino.com/newsletter. And it talks about the unbroken leg fallacy. You can read it on the screen here about how so-called market failures require state intervention, and then the government gets involved and then screws up the thing again. So in other words, the government introduces a policy that breaks your legs, and then to fix the broken leg, it introduces more of the policy that broke your leg in the first place. It's called the unbroken leg fallacy. And it leads me to this conclusion again, that government really sucks. What does it have to do with this business? My wife's like, you'll never believe this guy. Let's call him S for now. He's the business owner. She's like, I need S to do this for me, but he can't do it because he doesn't have anybody working for his company. They're all leaving. I said, really? Well, why are they leaving, Paula? And Paula said, well, they're leaving because he can't find anyone, because the government is now paying people more money to not work than he can possibly pay them to come and work for S's company. So we can't get S to do anything for us despite having the money to pay him, because S can't pay people to work for him to do what we need him to do for us in the business market, because S's business is struggling because S right now can't find any workers because the government's paying him more. Really strange how that happens, how government really sucks. But you may say, okay, Dan, we all know government sucks. Believe me, the government sucking really, really sucks in this story, because it gets worse. So, as it turns out, not only can S not find workers to work for his company, so he's not making any money right now. The level of suck here is huge. Apparently, illegal immigrants, so that the government stimulus policy is preventing people from going to work for this guy's company. Government did that because government sucks, broke the leg. Another government failure, the failure to do anything to stop the incredible tide of illegal immigrants coming to the country. Illegal immigrants are now coming into the job market where this guy S operates. Get a load of this, folks. These illegals here because of government, because they can't secure the border. And the illegal immigrants are starting their own businesses to compete with S, and they're paying their employees in cash, so that the employees, who aren't really employees because they're getting paid in cash, they're not on the books employees, they're off the books employees, so that the employees can continue to collect generous government payouts from the stimulus while they're getting paid in cash off the books by illegal immigrants who don't do anything right in their company. They don't pay workers' comp. They don't pay Social Security. They don't pay all government stuff, by the way, government requirements to do all this. The illegal immigrants' companies don't do any of this. They pay none of it. All the Democrats' dream programs, I wrote them down: workers' comp, government taxes, Social Security, government Medicaid, government Medicare. None of that's being paid because illegal immigrants are starting businesses to compete with legal American citizens. The illegals are paying their employees in cash so that the employees don't have to claim they're employed, so they can still collect government stimulus checks. This is it. This is what we're dealing with right now. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just that government. What did Reagan say? Government is one of the most dangerous words in the English language. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. It's not just that government is breaking the legs of our employers, our business owners, and others. It's that it's so obvious that only a liberal wouldn't figure this out. So I'm not even done yet. I'm going to show you some videos here in a second to show you how even CNN and their guests are starting to acknowledge that the government has screwed this entire thing up, coronavirus shutdowns, everything. The Biden administration is now in a panic because the jobs numbers were terrible. You saw that Washington Examiner article on the screen if you're watching on video before, up in the newsletter. The jobs numbers released last week on Friday, 266,000 jobs created in the economy. 1 million were expected. Don't worry, folks. They were only almost 800,000 jobs short of the expectation. This is only surprising to liberals who can't figure out when you pay people to not work, they don't work. And even worse, when you pay people to not work because they're getting a generous government stimulus check, they find a way to work off the books for people in the country illegally because of another government failure, so they can still collect the stimulus check while working for people in the country illegally who don't pay Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, or anything else. You know, I don't know where this came from, but apparently, I don't know. I don't get a stimulus check, but I heard they call them stimmies. Did you hear this? Anybody aware of this? Stimmies? I don't know where this came from. You heard this, stimmies, Joe?
Yeah.
Keith, you heard stimmies? Geese heard stimmies. I never heard stimmies before, but apparently they call them their stimmies. Where'd you spend your stimmies? I didn't get a stimmy, so I don't know. But again, only a liberal can't figure out that the stimmies are causing people to not work for legal U.S. citizens, to go work for illegals, to get cash dough so you don't lose your stimmy. Stimmies, need stimmies. Everybody get your stimmies. Even CNN's had to acknowledge this disaster. Look at this. Here's our first video of the day. Here's a CNN analyst on CNN, the propaganda news network, pretending to be an actual news network. Here's an analyst on CNN acknowledging reluctantly on Friday when the jobs numbers came out and failed miserably. Here's the analyst saying, hey, not a lot of ways to sugarcoat this, dog. What are we going to do? Well, I'll show you what they did. I'll give you the counter narrative in a minute. You got to gaslight at all costs. But check out CNN for it. I got 2 clips from CNN. Here's the analyst acknowledging the disaster. Check this out.
All right, breaking news just into CNN. A snapshot of the employment situation in the United States. The new jobs report. CNN chief business correspondent Christine Roman's here with me at the desk. We're going to bring in the numbers right now
yeah,
so we
let's
can see
look
it here.
Numbers.
And the answer is a giant miss, right?
It is. It's only 266,000 jobs added in the period, which is a real disappointment for April. You had economists looking for more like 1 million. So we did not see the big hiring frenzy that we had expected. And the unemployment rate was essentially little changed at 6.1%. John, this is a disappointment.
You think? Maybe it's a disappointment. When you're getting stimmies, you're getting your stimmies for what? 40, 50K a year in stimmies? And then you're offered a job for 35K in some cases, right? Sane people are like, so let me get this straight. Get up at 5 a.m, commute to work, go do my thing, put work boots on for 35K, 40K. Sit at home with the stimmy, 45, 50K a year, government bennies. I'm going to sit at home. Matter of fact, even better. I'm going to go to work for cash only, to go work for an illegal immigrant in the country who's here illegally because of another government failure. Again, the show today, government sucks. Government sucks every time. Government always sucks. Outside of our military and courts, they really suck. And even some of our courts suck too. Even they're acknowledging it. CNN's like, oh man, how are we going to spin this one? 266,000 jobs. We thought we'd get 1 million. This is supposed to be a huge recovery. Trump was creating 266,000 jobs before the coronavirus. We should be exploding right now as the economy reopens. And Biden can't even match Trump's numbers? It gets even worse. Here's a CNN guest who says the quiet part out loud. Poor guy owns a restaurant. He's like, hey, I can't get anybody to even show up. Even after I've put out a job application, and even worse, they apply to the job application and I never hear from them again. The CNN guest says the quiet part out loud. You think the Biden administration and the liberals now would say, stimmies high. People don't want to work. They're getting high stimmies. We had our job numbers were really in the can. Unemployment's ticking up. No one wants to go back to work. Stimmies. You think they'd say stimmies are the problem? They can't figure it out. Of course they can figure it out. They're just morons. And they love government because government sucks and liberals suck too. Very sorry.